and welcome to Galaxy News. My name is Nenwang Yumazaka. I will begin with the headlines. The Senate postponed screening of 7 ministerial nominees for their tweets by President Bola Tinubu. The Transmission Company of Nigeria blames the prolonged power outage in the northern part of Nigeria on insecurity. On the foreign scene, Hezbollah announces the group's Deputy Secretary General will become its new head. It is a detail more will come to shortly. Just stay with us. And now the news in full. The Senate on Tuesday postponed screening and possible confirmation of appointment of the 7 ministerial nominees forwarded to it last week by President Bola Tinubu. The postponement of screening of the ministerial nominees earlier scheduled for Tuesday during plenary arose from non-completion of documentation by some of the nominees. Citing reasons for the postponement in a personally signed statement, the Special Advisor to President Tinubu on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, said the postponement was to allow all nominees to conclude all aspects of documentation and pre-screening exercises. The 7 ministerial nominees forwarded to the Senate for confirmation by President Bola Tinubu last week are Dr. Nentawe Yilwata, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mamadou Maigari Dingyadi, Minister of Labour and Employment, and Bianca Udinaka Odumegu Ojuku, Minister of State, Foreign Affairs. Others are Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Minister of Industry, Trade and Development, Idi Mukhtar Maiha, Minister of Livestock Development, Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atam, Minister of State, Housing, and Dr. Suwaiba Saeed Ahmed, Minister of State, Education. Meanwhile, in response to the ongoing insurgency disrupting power supply in northern Nigeria, Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin has confirmed that security agencies are preparing to take decisive action against insurgents hindering the repair of critical power lines. This initiative follows reports from the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) about widespread outages affecting the northeast, northwest, and part of north-central Nigeria due to vandalism of transmission lines, particularly the Shiroro-Kaduna line. Speaking on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday, Jibrin said the office of the National Security Advisor is on top of the issue.
The Secretary of Senate is concerned about the lack of electricity supply in the northern part of this country. This is happening due to the fact that the electricity tower coming from within the area that electricity is taken to the northern part of the country was vandalized by terrorists.
Recall that Nafisatu Ali, Executive Director, Independent System Operator, had said the Shiroro-Kaduna transmission line, which supplies power to northern Nigeria, was vandalized by insurgents. The Transmission Company of Nigeria has blamed the prolonged power outage in the northern part of Nigeria on the lingering spate of insecurity in the area. Managing Director of the company, Engineer Abdulaziz Sule, while speaking with journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, said all attempts being made to repair the damaged Shiroro Mando 330 kV SC line 1 and 2 are being threatened by bandits. Correspondent Kinujo reports that Engineer Abdulaziz Sule stressed that said efforts were made to use local vigilante who confirmed snap conductor on a tower but could not identify the tower number. Speaking in the same vein, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu revealed that engineers working on the line repair work under the surveillance of security personnel and leave the site by 6 p.m.
Shiroro Mando 330 kV single circuit transmission line 1 and 2. The line 1 tripped on 9 September 2024. Patrol of the said area was done, but faulty action could not be reached due to insecurity. Our engineers cannot have access to the transmission line because of insecurity. Efforts were made by using local vigilante who confirmed snap conductor on a tower, but they could not identify the tower member.
This time around, it was a more serious vandalization, and there was actually security threat to those people that are supposed to go in there and fix it. But I'm happy to let you know that we now have the full support of the National Security Advisor, with the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and Chief of Air Staff to provide adequate security and ensure that this line is restored.
They noted that alternative measures have been implemented to transmit 400 megawatts to certain areas within the next 24 hours, adding that the line, which was an alternative route to supply power to Kano, Kaduna, and other major cities in the north, will be completed in 2 to 3 days. Now we have Professor Isaiah Dijumobi, Professor of Power System Engineering, FUNAB, joining us live via Zoom. Thank you so much for being a part of the news at this time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yes, good evening to you. All right, so we go straight to the question. 17 states in northern Nigeria are still left in darkness after the grid collapsed, and the TCN, the National Assembly, blames the reality on insurgency. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, thank you. I want us to know that, yes, insurgency is one of the major factors. But notwithstanding, we have been having this problem before now. Why the issue of insurgency may be complementing it, this system collapse, there is a primary problem. Notably that we have a limited number of transmission lines from south to the north. Let me give you a scenario how the transmission line works. We have 330 kV, that's the the transmission line, high voltage transmission line at 330 kV. We have another ones of transmission at 132 kV. These are the major lines that carry energy from one terminal to the other. These transmission lines, they have what they call thermal capacity. That is amount of load they can carry. But the last time I was here, we said some of these transmission lines have been overloaded, meaning that we are exceeding or we are fully loading them to their maximum thermal capacity, which is not going down well with these cables. In other words, these transmission lines have been overloaded. Now, it's because of these things we are having, for example, about 7 days ago, Waji Makudi line, we have Waji Makudi line 1 and 2. The first one tripped. So they have to transfer the load. Remember, this line have been overloaded already. They now transfer the load on line 1 to line 2, making it the amount of load on them, power, double. The first one was tripped. They transferred the load to another line. Then the second line also tripped. Make us to lose about 500 megawatts. And the same thing all around. Now, they transfer this load to the lower transmission voltage, 132 kV line. And you know the limitation of this line. I said they have maximum thermal capacity. So these lines, they are weak and they are being overloaded. Apart from the security matter, now these lines are being, necessarily, they have been overloaded. That is one of the major reasons why we are having, apart from security, that's one of, even the security, we are managed to stop the issue of security today. We are still going to have that problem because we have limited number of lines and they don't have the capacity to export the energy being generated from generation station to transmission station. Thank you.
All right, so Professor, how would you evaluate the proactiveness of the federal government to have electricity supply return to normalcy in this state?
Well, the government should this on their plan now. Probably we have to zone this transmission line. That is, instead of having one single transmission line in Nigeria or two, we can have up to 5 or 6. We segment it, so that with this we'll be able to balance this load that are being transferred from either north to the south, from southeast to the southwest, or from north to the south, and so on and so on. So if we can segment them, we can group them maybe into 5 or 6 or into geological zone, so that we are going to have a 5-6 transmission line. Then this load will be reduced. That is one of the reasons. Another thing is to declare state of emergency on the transmission system, create alternative roads, create more roads, so that instead of transferring energy from place to place through 1 or 2 lines, we are going to have so many lines, and they can now share this load. So this issue of incessant blackout will be considerably reduced, if not totally eliminated. So government is trying, but if you can just try to have more lines or segment our transmission system, that is, let's zone it. Let there be one, maybe southeast, southwest, not like that. That will assist us to have a superb and a less burden transmission system.
Right. So before I let you go, the Northern Governors Forum are certainly unhappy about this development. But is it not about time these northern states explore other means of electricity generation like we see obtainable in some other states, some southern states as well?
Well, I think I said this thing last time. North is blessed a lot. Northern states are blessed with wind, they are blessed with solar, sun rays. We can begin to think of how we are going to invest more and more on our wind power, wind energy. We have some good spots where we can establish our wind energy plants. In the north, south, we have their solar. So if you can incorporate these renewable energies, so that wind, which is going to be viable in the north, and the solar energy is going to assist us. At least it will reduce the stress on those transmission lines, and then it will avoid the people in the north to have energy constantly and efficiently.
All right, thank you so much for being a part of the news at this time. We truly appreciate your input on the topic and ground.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
All right. And that was Professor Isaiah Adejimobi, Professor of Power System Engineering, FUNAB. And I'll move up to the rest of the stories. The Ogun State government has shut down Obada Grammar School, Obada Idemi, over the death of Mr. Monday Arijo, an SS2 student of the school. This followed the arrest and suspension of the teacher allegedly responsible for the death of the student on Friday last week as a result of corporal punishment. The principal of the school, Tambat Onolapo, who was earlier issued a query for allowing corporal punishment to be used on the pupil against the established rules and regulations in the state, has also been suspended. The closure of the school was based on a directive of the state governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, who has also directed that a panel should be set up to investigate the circumstances that led to the unfortunate incident. Speaking on this development, the Ogun State Chairman, Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools, Dr. Felix, said teachers in Ogun State are mourning over the passing of the student. He described the incident as unfortunate, with assurance that the outcome of the investigation will be made public.
It's unfortunate we lost a student in Ogun State, but I want to tell the whole world the state government is on top of the issue, and the union also is in touch with the government. We're working together to make sure that we get ourselves right and things gets done as it ought to be.
The Nigerian Medical Association has raised concern over the high rate of infectious disease in the country. They added that some of these diseases are entirely avoidable. The chairman, NMA Kaduna State, made this known while addressing journalists on the activities to mark this year's Physician Week. He added that the choice for this year's theme, mitigating the impact of infectious disease, addressing monkeypox challenge and beyond, will lead to creating more awareness to the general public. Dr. Hassan Salihu, NMA Chairman, Kaduna State, says Nigerian doctors are ever ready and capable of handling outbreak of diseases like Ebola and even coronavirus if they get adequate support from the government.
Causing increased morbidity and mortality both within hospital and communities. We employ the relevant stakeholders to take the necessary steps to restore power supply. In closing, ensuring universal applicability in remuneration is not only a viable solution to talent retention in the healthcare sector. I plead with the Kaduna State government under the able leadership of Senator Obasani to do more in the area of human resources and welfare for healthcare workers in the state in order to reverse the worrying trend of brain drain, especially among younger generation of not only doctors but other healthcare professionals. The need for the implementation of the new hazard allowance for healthcare workers.
Traditional rulers from Enugu Council of Traditional Rulers and members of the Enugu State Executive Council have paid a condolence visit to the family of the late musician Okeze Mba, killed by an inspector of the Enugu Anti-Cultism Squad. This is coming barely 24 hours after the killer cop was arraigned at the Enugu Magistrate Court. Correspondent Dele Fasan has more.
The visit by members of the Enugu State Executive Council and traditional rulers, led by the Commissioner for Gender Affairs and Social Development, Ms. Ngozi Eni, is to convey the message of the state governor, Peter Mba, who promised scholarship to the 3 children of the deceased to university level. The Commissioner, while addressing the widow and family members, stressed on the governor's resolve to cater for the family of the deceased.
On behalf of Enugu State Government, under the leadership of His Excellency Barrister Peter Ndobisemba and his amiable wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Nkechi Neremba, we are here to promise you that the government of Enugu State had already awarded scholarship to your children from now till they finish university. We are also here to tell your people and your husband's people that whatever that is your concern and your welfare is now the responsibility of Enugu State Government. That will make sure that you're well taken care of and the impact of your husband's death will be cushioned.
It will be recalled that the inspector was on Monday arraigned at the Enugu Magistrate Court after being dismissed from service by the Nigerian police. The events leading to this tragedy occurred on October 25, 2024, when Inspector Joseph, attached to the anti-cultism unit, allegedly acted recklessly, resulting in the death of Wamba. From Enugu State, Delefason reporting for Galactic TV News.
And now we'll move over to the foreign desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. Hezbollah has announced the group's Deputy Secretary General will become its new head. Naim Kassem replaces long-term leader Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Beirut last month. He is one of the few senior Hezbollah leaders who remains alive after Israel killed most of the group's leadership in a series of attacks. The appointment comes as the conflict in Lebanon intensified in recent weeks. For more than 30 years, Naim Kassem was Hezbollah's Deputy Secretary General and one of the group's most recognized faces. Hezbollah said he was elected by the Shura Council in accordance with the group's rules. His whereabouts are unclear. However, some reports suggest he had fled to Iran, which is Hezbollah's main supporter. Announcing Kassem's promotion, Hezbollah released a statement describing him as bearing the blessed banner in this march. The statement also honored the late Nasrallah and others killed in the conflict. The new Hezbollah leadership was expected to be past the cleric Hashem Sefidene, but on 22 October, it was revealed that he had been killed in an Israeli airstrike nearly 3 weeks prior. Israel has carried out airstrikes across Lebanon in recent weeks, targeting what it says are Hezbollah's operatives, infrastructure and weapons.
And that's all we have on Galaxy News. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. My name is Nedwarangi Mazaka. Do join us by 9 p.m. for more news. Goodbye.
More than ever before, football fans demand unique insight and analysis. The Football Review is much more than a highlights show. Bold, provocative editorial that goes beyond conventional reporting, setting the agenda for football discussion. Champions League, Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1, and much more. Want genuine insight with hard-hitting editorial? Need compelling premium football content? The Football Review. Best bar none.